Throughout the course of my noble mission to earn enough money online to buy a crack house all cash, I've managed to discover some unexpectedly easy ways to add an extra few $1,000s to my pocket every month. And very importantly, these are things that you can do too. I'm not going to be like Brian Jung over here telling you how he makes almost $90,000 a month with side hustles, when 100% of it is either his own YouTube revenue or affiliate marketing from his YouTube. No one wants to waste time watching YouTubers tell non-YouTubers that they can make money if they were a YouTuber. Instead, I'm going to give you the real scoop on how anyone can stuff their bank accounts without even having a social media following. In this video, I'm going to rank and stack the methods I used this month to gather $4,199 to put toward my ambitious real estate investment. By the end of 2024, I'm expecting that these approaches will put my first crack house in my portfolio. I invite you all to join me on Discord, where we can talk strategy together. Now, let's get started. And once again, we will start with some of the stronger methods, but I'm saving the best one for last. Let's dive in. The first method in the chute extends beyond just the Freeloader challenge, because everyone doing this adventure with me should be investing their money somewhere, even if it's not in low quality real estate. With this method, we can get started investing with a much larger bankroll than we normally could, by taking advantage of broker promotions. The first one we're going to look at is the broker where I've been stashing my Freeloader challenge funds, and that is Moomoo. The biggest benefit to Moomoo right off the top is their new deposit bonus. The bonus changes usually monthly, but for April and most of May, they're delivering 10 $5 shares of the Magnificent 7 stocks for a $100 deposit. Drop $100 into Moomoo, and you get $50 worth of Mag 7 stocks for a 50% ROI just like that. To get the 10 shares, you have to use my referral. Without it, you only get 7 shares. So take advantage of that expanded promotion through my link in the description. Beyond that, they're the perfect spot for my slush fund because they're offering 5.1% interest on all cash held, which is more than most banks. They also run promotions in which you receive these in-app points, which you trade in for vouchers towards stock purchases. By using these vouchers, I've been able to pick up a few shares of UWMC for a very low price, about $1 at the time. They've also done in-app games in the past where almost all participants received $40 cash. Of the $6,500 in my Moomoo account, $566 was from these bonuses adding up over time, and the other $6,000 was from a recent deposit so I could get more vouchers. With benefits like that, Moomoo makes a good companion for the Freeloader challenge, and I'm going to continue expanding my stash there. Looking ahead a little bit, since I expect to buy the crack house in the next few months, I plan on doing a second season of the Freeloader challenge that combines elements of the long-lost 3K challenge and Freeloader challenge together. Using Moomoo as the broker, I will continue freeloading with the focus on investing my gains in equities and options rather than save for crack-infused real estate. That way, I can return to the bread and butter of this channel, which is supposed to be actual investing. But why Moomoo instead of going back to Robinhood? Because Moomoo is the only mobile-first broker that offers level 4 options trading with no commission. And in all honesty, short strangles are pretty much the only option strategy I use anymore. The wheel is a thing of the past, because frankly, it just did not work, and we saw that failure play out during the old Robinhood 3K challenge. Now, I need level 4 options. Moomoo has the tools I need to measure market volatility and track the most market-moving stocks at earnings season. Expect that as soon as Season 1 of the Freeloader challenge is done, you'll see quite a bit more of my hybrid 3K challenge and Freeloader challenge together in Season 2, with Moomoo as my flagship. There are several more brokers worth getting on board with, so whether you actually want to invest or just pull the promotion, you should check these out as well. The first is Webull. Their promotion also changes every month, but it's often very strong. Right now, they're doing 3 free shares for a 1-cent deposit, up to 75 shares for much larger deposits. Typically, the shares are $3 fractionals of tech stocks, but you might get lucky and get significantly more. Starting with basically nothing, you can get about $9 for just linking an account and dropping in a penny. Once again, Webull changes its offers frequently, so check the offer for when you're watching this video. And of course, I'll drop my referral in the description. Another good one from a relatively unknown broker is Plink. If you deposit anywhere between $25 and $75, Plink will match that deposit if you leave it for 30 days. This is a good offer for new investors. However, Plink itself is kind of an odd broker that doesn't allow ETF trading, and therefore it's not a good one to make your flagship broker. However, you can't go wrong with a $75 match to buy shares of blue chip stocks. Another is SoFi. Deposit $10, get $25 of an S&P stock of your choice to either keep or sell if you want to. And the best for last is the Schwab Starter Kit. With a $50 deposit, Schwab will give you $101 in fractional shares of blue chip stocks, a 102% match immediately. Just make sure you actually use the Schwab Starter Kit link. Fidelity used to offer a similar promo called the Fidelity Starter Pack, which appears to be discontinued now, but you should check on this when you're watching this video to see if they brought it back. In this episode, only the SoFi and Plink offers were new to me, but that was an easy $100 gain there. In the past, I've made over $1,000 doing broker promo churning. This is a top tier strategy, and I strongly recommend everyone get in on this. Even if you don't want a crack house, you should still be investing. One of the easiest and most passive methods is churning credit card sign-up bonuses. It's very common for a bank or many other services, even an airline, to offer very generous rewards to new customers. By taking advantage of these promotions, I'm in the process of churning yet another $750 reward from Capital One. After this one is complete, that will bring me to $1,600 gained by churning 3 cards over the past 6 months. A common promotion sounds something like, open a new card and spend $4,000 in 3 months to receive a $500 statement credit. Even people that are not participating in the Freeloader challenge would probably benefit a lot from just changing their credit cards a few times a year. But in the context of the Freeloader challenge, I have a much grander vision. If you're just spending $4,000 on day-to-day expenses to get a $500 credit, you're not really profiting. What I'm doing is trying to turn this into a profit, and that's by spending money without really spending it. Now don't get me wrong, this is entirely legal and there are entire YouTube playlists on how to manufacture your spending. I won't spell that out for you here on how to do it, but if you're paying attention to the rest of this video, you'll probably be able to piece that together yourself. Like I said, by using this method, I am on my 3rd card this year. The first one was Discover It Miles, which is by far the easiest card to churn. If you spend anything, even 1 cent, you get a $100 statement credit. I very strongly recommend you start your credit card churning journey with this one. Another dedicated Freeloaders referral is in the description, and I'm sure he would appreciate it if you use his link. The next one I did was the Chase Business Cash Card. Granted, this is only for someone with a business, but anyone with an employer identification number, or EIN, is eligible for this card. Getting an EIN is free, and if you're doing some of these Freeloader challenge activities, then congratulations, you are a sole proprietor by default. Although doing so is optional, you should apply for a free EIN with the IRS. For this Chase bonus, I received $750 for spending $6,000. After the Capital One card I'm on now, I'll switch to the Chase Business Inc. card and do it again. Chase is already sending me mail asking me to do this. I have referrals to these as well if you want to help out. And if there is interest in EINs and turning your own Freeloader challenge into a business so that you can get these advantages, let me know in the comments and I'll make a video about that. Make sure you're actually using the IRS website if you're doing this on your own. If someone wants you to pay for an EIN, it is a scam website. Notice what all these cards have in common. No annual fees. After I'm done with one card, I move on to the next. I do not want to get hit with a $195 annual fee for a card I'm not using. It's very important to make sure that you leave this card zeroed with no fees. One last note on how this impacts your credit, because a lot of people get worried and I get that. Applying for a card under your own name, not a business, will cause what's called a hard pull. A creditor is pulling your credit history, and that temporarily dings your credit. When I did 6 cards last year while testing this out, you can see how my own credit score dipped. Then just as quickly it popped right back up. I wasn't taking out any loans during this window, so the dip didn't affect me, but this is not a good thing to do if you're about to buy a house. And like I said, business cards do not affect this score. Just one more reason to get an EIN. Overall, I recommend credit card churning very strongly and crown this as a top tier method. You should get in on this train as soon as possible, starting with the Discover It Miles card. Prostitution is illegal in the United States except for in Las Vegas. However, this does not mean that you should avoid selling your body. In fact, one of the most profitable ways to do so is to sell your blood plasma. Way too many people are sleeping on this method. In the US, there are plasma centers in almost every city and college town. By letting drug manufacturers take your blood plasma, you can receive as much as $800 a month. I did this all throughout college at James Madison in Virginia. There's still a BioLife center right at the same place, and now they're paying a lot more than they were 12 years ago when I graduated. The same is true for other plasma centers. The process works like this. The first time you go, you'll get a head-to-toe physical, which does take a while. On every visit thereafter, they just do a very short screening and put you in the donation chair. For about 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how hydrated you are, they're going to draw out your blood, centrifuge it to separate the blood cells from the plasma, and then pump the blood cells back into you. You're only giving up your plasma, not your red blood cells. Once they have enough, you'll get about $50 to $100 depending on your city, and you're free to go. Your plasma will get turned into drugs, and you keep the money on a prepaid debit card. Richie on our Discord group is a big fan of doing this, raking in $100 a week for sitting in the donation chair while doing other freeloader methods on his phone. I know some people have health concerns, that's understandable. I did this twice a week for about 3 years, and I was in the best shape of my life. I used to run home about a mile from the plasma center and was totally fine. At worst, you'll be a little dehydrated afterwards, and you can drink a Gatorade. As long as you're healthy to begin with, and this will all be determined during the physical, there are no real health consequences. In fact, some research indicates that there are health benefits to doing this, because the centrifuge process cleans up your blood in some way. It pains me that I can no longer do this, because I live far away from any plasma centers. But you should search your own city for BioLife, Grifols Biomat, and CSL plasma centers. Those seem to be the most common three. Make an appointment, start giving plasma, and start getting paid. As far as I know, this is only possible in the US since our healthcare system is pretty odd. If you are in the EU or East Asia and you can sell plasma, please let me know and I'll inform people in a later video. I am a huge fan of selling plasma, so I am putting this in the top tier category. I strongly encourage everyone to see if they qualify. Similar to credit card churning is bank churning. I'm now on my third bank. The first was a Chase account, which gave me $300. PNC was next, which gave me $400. Now I am on to Wells Fargo, which is only $100. But between the three, this has been a very easy $800. And for those of you that don't have the credit score for credit card churning, you can still be in a very good spot to churn bank bonuses. The process looks like this. You open a bank account, usually through some promotional link from the bank. The bank will have some requirements for you. Typically, you need to deposit a certain amount of money and leave it there for a certain number of months, after which point they'll deposit the bonus in cash into your account. Frequently, but not always, the money you deposit has to be a direct deposit. This direct deposit requirement is where a lot of people get caught up. You can't just send money from one bank account to another, typically. Direct deposits are supposed to come from your employer, from Social Security, a pension, anything like that. The easiest way to do this is change the bank account you get paid to at your job. Make the 23-year-old psychology major working in HR earn her paycheck by updating your payroll to your new bank. But if that's not an option for you, you can spoof a direct deposit. There are entire YouTube playlists on how to do this, so I won't get into that here. But the easiest way is to do what I talked about prior. Get an EIN. Open a business bank account and pay yourself from that business account through an actual payroll service. I use Chase for this. My freeloader money goes to Chase, then I use Chase's payroll service to pay myself at the bank that I'm churning. This is a proper, no-nonsense direct deposit from an employer. The employer just happens to be me. This is just one more benefit of having an EIN. I'll be done with Wells Fargo probably before this video is even published, so I will move on to a Chase personal account next. Apparently, Chase will pay me a bonus for moving my money from a Chase business account to a Chase personal account. That'll be another easy $300. Other than direct deposit spoofing, the additional challenge here is that you need a good amount of money up front. It's common to see a direct deposit requirement of $5,000, and you have to hold it for months at a time to get the bonus, sometimes 3 months. And that might be a hard balance for a lot of people to maintain. If that's true for you, then I recommend stockpiling your Freeloader challenge money until you have enough, and then start churning like I did. On one hand, this method is better than credit card churning in that you don't need to spend any money or spoof spending money. However, you get paid much less than the credit card churns. And if you don't have an EIN, then spoofing direct deposits can be cumbersome. So while this is worth your time, it doesn't hold a candle to the top tier methods, and ultimately it lands mid. Next up is something I'm passionate about, but my financial success with it has been varied. We're talking about dumpster diving. If you follow the Freeloader Challenge series, you'll recall that in the last episode, I denounced dumpster diving as freeloading because a homeless woman started dropping a deuce next to the dumpster I was foraging in, and I immediately became disillusioned with the whole experience. I'm not trying to live my life like that. But in reality, I just needed a little break from diving. After a couple weeks, I revisited some of my favorite dive spots and ended up pulling out one of the best hauls ever. A restaurant was under renovation, and a tremendous amount of communication wire was getting thrown out, and it all had a nice big copper filament. You can see the white and blue wires in these photos, and of course, I'm looking pretty pleased with myself. Let's watch the journey.
I was about to give up on dumpster diving, but I'm so glad I didn't. I mean, look, who throws this out? I mean, what are you thinking? This is a good $30 worth of stuff right here.
The haul from a second dumpster was not as large, but the amount of aluminum and copper added a really nice weight to this haul. Just 2 dumpsters in, and I was looking golden.
Here's my haul from just 2 dumpsters. I actually have favorite dumpsters at this point in my life. And here I don't really know what this is. It's not coax. This is some kind of cat wire. Cat 2, cat 3, I don't know. Small copper in there. And then these ones, the aluminum armored and this black armor. I don't know if that's aluminum or steel. I think it's steel. But the copper in here is thick. So this is gonna fetch a good price. I almost gave up on dumpster diving, and this is showing me that I should never give up on dumpster diving.
With this heavy haul, I was off to the scrapyard to pull in my prize. Once at the scrapyard, I separated the different materials to get weighed. The biggest payer was this communication wire because of the high copper content. Aluminum armored copper wire was the second best, followed by some copper scrap that was worth the most per pound, but I didn't have much of it. This whole activity paid out $61, which in dollars per hour was about $40 an hour. The whole ordeal probably took about an hour and a half. The best way to approach this is to wait for the opportunity to come to you. Don't go foraging in random dumpsters looking for copper, but instead target dumpsters near construction sites. Just make sure that the dumpster is out in the open, not behind any kind of fence. Or if you're like Discord member Swift Eye, who works in a field where he can access 1,800 pounds of scrap steel regularly, then obviously the good stuff is easier to grab. Saberman is another Discord member in the construction industry who pulled in nearly $600 after a small investment into some equipment. If you have placement and access, dumpster diving can be a really good side hustle. On the positive side, this takes no financial investment other than having a car. On the negative side, it takes a lot more effort, more than pretty much any other method. Unless you work in construction and can easily access the materials, this method is appropriately trashed here. But it can be fun if pride is no issue, and people with easy access to metal will find this much more lucrative. Back when ChatGPT was new and every guru on the internet was talking about how everyone with internet access is suddenly going to become a successful copywriter, I was looking at things a little bit differently. I didn't think anyone would be impressed with AI writing or art because it's just not good. AI is not creative, and I was certainly right about the copywriting side. I have yet to see someone become a copywriter by punching prompts into ChatGPT. However, I have seen AI-generated art gain a following on social media. And while the earnings from these channels is certainly low, the content itself is very easy to make. Facebook in particular has a huge AI-generated content problem in which everyone over 60 seems to want to share and comment "Amen" under any pictures of African kids making art out of municipal trash. Then, once the post has enough shares and comments, the creator swaps it to some crypto scam where it's seen by millions of people. I have no interest in running a business like that, but there are some more legitimate AI art operations that I can get on board with. Planet.ai is a successful YouTube channel that is so simple that a 10-year-old could produce it. Someone is just punching in prompts to Midjourney or Stable Diffusion and using CapCut to make these videos. And surprisingly, he's getting tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of hits. I figure I can do this too. So I set off and created an AI art TikTok page, which is not doing great. The video here behind me is something I made but didn't actually post because I don't want my YouTube viewers to find me on TikTok and ruin the premise, the sanctity of the Freeloader challenge. My page has about 10 videos that are usually getting maybe 500 views on the high end and a handful of shares, comments, and saves. At 6 followers, it's not exactly raking in the engagement. But there is something going on here, and I think if I just repost these videos on Instagram and YouTube Shorts, I figure I can find some means of gaining a following. The RPM, or amount you get paid off of 1,000 views, is not going to be high. I've seen people post their TikTok analytics to Reddit where AI channels are getting a 36-cent RPM on the high end. On 2.7 million views, this guy's getting $976 a month. Now that's good returns, but that's a big channel, and I'd be surprised if I get 1/100th of that. But most of the money on content creation doesn't come from RPM, but it comes from affiliate links and stuff like that. If I can gain a following, there might be some room here for returns. Some expectation management, AI art is a very saturated niche with as many creators as viewers. If I can get AI video content out later, that will probably be more cutting edge and I can gain a following. I think I'm pretty late to the AI art party. In order to get this off the ground, I'm going to need to try something pretty spectacular. But I am going to try. I don't expect this to go well, and at best this could become mid. But given the competition in the space, I'm tentatively making this trash tier for now. However, I do reserve the right to move this around once I get this business figured out. A reliable source of money for me during the whole Freeloader challenge so far has been Freecash. If you follow me, you'll be familiar with this Get Paid To website where you get paid out to try games or download apps. Collectively, Kamikaze Cash viewers have earned over $614,000 on Freecash, so congratulations to the wider community on this milestone. In February, Freecash had some really good bank offers where I got paid hundreds of dollars at a time to open bank accounts like SoFi through Freecash's portal. In March and April, there were some good sportsbook promos offering over $170 total, but these were for new users only, and I can't partake since I did these in 2022. With no offers that I could do like that in the past few weeks, I dropped back down to getting paid to play mobile games. I first tried some French Revolution base building game called Guns of Glory, which was really difficult to level up on. I did have the option to get paid to make in-app purchases, but it didn't look like the items for purchase would actually help me level up, so I abandoned the game entirely after making just 50 cents. I do not recommend this game. I also tried to finesse the system by signing up to Rise of Kingdoms again, even though I had done it before, figuring I knew how to play and could level up easily. But my data must have been saved in the cloud somewhere, and when I booted it up, it gave me my old save, so I couldn't repeat this challenge. However, this is probably the best build your base game, and if you haven't done this game already, I do recommend doing it. Now I'm working on Idle Miner, which is okay. I made it to the gold mine pretty easily for $3, but the payouts were pretty low, so it probably wasn't the best choice for me to try. If you do this offer, focus on digging your mines deep, not upgrading them, and then you'll level up much faster. It is not necessary to buy any in-game items with real money. Games are not my favorite way to use Freecash. I'd much rather open a bank account through their portal and make $150. But those kind of offers come and go, depending on which month it is and which companies are advertising on Freecash at the time. I'm looking forward to seeing some higher quality offers in the future. I do recommend getting on Freecash to get your account set up so that you can participate in the next round of easy offers. One important thing to note here, any offer you complete on Freecash can be cashed out to stake.us for a 30% bonus with no playthrough requirement. So a $100 offer becomes $130 and so on. If you're non-US, cash out to stake.com, the bonus is 15%. This is a big boost when you're talking about larger payouts. Although Freecash is top tier when doing offers other than games, I didn't see many options for me to do that this month. Since I was stuck on games, this fell to mid this round. I look forward to seeing a broader range of offers next month. If you want to get on board with this, my referral in the description will start you off with a bonus box. This is one that I haven't explored with much depth, but it did bear fruit. We're doing product testing. Through this method, I made $210 in Amazon gift cards and $25 via PayPal. It's no secret that companies making new products test them with their target audience first in order to solicit feedback. For participating in such a test, you typically get paid in either cash or a gift card, and sometimes you get to keep the product. In the past month, I did 2 of these tests. One of these was done through Product Report Card, which I haven't logged into since early 2022, but for some reason this throwback popped into my head and I checked out the website again. It had been so long that my account was deactivated, which I was a little upset about. But I made a new profile and got back into it. After applying to a few studies, I got into a test about face scrub. I can't show you the bottle because I had to sign a pretty strict NDA, but the soap itself looked like a regular apricot scrub. It did its job. I don't think it was anything particularly special, but I got $25 in PayPal for participating, and I got to keep the soap. The next one was through userinterviews.com, which usually does actual focus groups. It was kind of an oddball for them to have product testing, but why not? The product test I got into was on children's diapers. Now, my daughter is 4 years old, she's been out of diapers for a while, so I'm not really sure why I got accepted into this test, but they sent me 2 kinds of kids' diapers to give feedback on. I want to get paid, so I made my daughter wear these diapers, which she was not too happy with. She was like, "Dad, is everything okay? Do you want me to call mom for you?" Meanwhile, I'm like, "Come on, buy a crack house." It was not comfortable for her, it was not comfortable for me, and it's not comfortable for my viewers hearing about it. I had to bribe her with ice cream, which cost $10. It's crazy how expensive ice cream is getting. That knocked down the return from $110 to $100. I gotta factor in that cost. And then I did one additional regular focus group with user interviews about people who watch YouTube videos produced by their friends specifically. The researcher wanted feedback on an idea about how friends can financially support each other as content creators. And the ideas were not good, but I gave them some constructive criticism, and for doing so, I got a $100 gift card. This is really 2 different activities despite some overlap. The product testing is pretty mid. Unless you're getting a real good product, the additional requirement to actually use and test the product first adds some burden, so it can't compete with the top tier methods. However, you do get solid rewards from this, so it is worth your time. Product report card is a good place to find this. The actual focus groups method is really good, and I've been at it for quite a while. This is definitely a top tier method. Just make sure you're only signing up to at least $60 an hour tests. If you want to use user interviews, check my referral link and it'll give you an extra $10 after your first interview. As of late winter, our crops and farm animals were confiscated by the Homeowners Association. The tilapia and crawfish farm failed to survive in our retention pond, and the HOA deported our chickens to a farm upstate and banned us from growing vegetables outside. The Homestead Homies project is mostly dead. This leaves just 2 pieces remaining. The first piece is our compost bin, which is mostly useless without a garden to plant in. You can see the update to that on the Homestead Homies channel. And the second piece is my mushroom buckets, which are grown inside. Initially, my mushroom farm was doing great. I completed the hard part of growing what's called grain spawn without difficulty. Once you're past that step, you're supposed to have an easy time of growing mushrooms in modified buckets, whereupon you can harvest this fresh fungi. But this is where the project collapsed. It turned out that my dank basement is just not a suitable growing environment. And despite my best efforts, I didn't get any mushrooms. I got this. I lifted the cover off my mushroom bucket to find these wet, demented hands of screaming Italian mushroom babies, longing for the sweet release of death to spare them from this fungal hell I had condemned them to. The smell of infected fungus was among the worst scents to ever irritate my nose. I'm not kidding when I say this concoction smelled a mix of death and shit. It goes without saying that this was not suitable for human consumption, and it put the nail in the coffin for the mushroom farm. I dumped it all in the woods where nature could take its course, and I got rid of all the buckets permanently. All that remains of the project is some grain spawn I had set aside in case this bucket did work out. I saved that grain spawn now only as a reminder of what could have been. Homestead Homies is now reduced to a modest compost bin, and I use that term loosely. It's really just a pile of rotting vegetables that I got from a dumpster behind Aldi. I need to do better to revive this farm. If my neighborhood were a band of Cro-Magnons relying on this harvest, we'd by now be reduced to a group of wandering foragers unable to sustain themselves. I can't go down like that. Ultimately, I don't think there's too much room in modern society to freeload money from gardening. You can, of course, be an actual farmer, and that's a job. And gardening can also save you money, but you're not going to earn money unless you're going into a farmer's market, at which point, that's a lot of work again. Regrettably, as a freeloader method, this is trashed here. This is the big one. This is where the money gets made every month, and just this income alone could probably fund all of my freeloader challenge ambitions. Counter gambling is, without question, the holy grail of freeloading. Our freeloader channel on Discord is active with this all day and night. Come through there and we'll get you hooked up. I also have a whole written guide in the pinned comments in that channel. But before I get to it, I have 3 caveats. 1, if you have any kind of history with gambling addiction or even an addictive personality in general, skip this section. Every month or so, we see someone join Discord talking about how they got a lucky win thinking that they hacked the casino. Invariably, they gamble away all their money. Gambling is explicitly the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing. We are counter gambling. If you have a history of no self-control, do not try this. 2, some states restrict this type of online casino, and so the casinos do not operate there. Some states have a smaller number of options. There are also a handful of states where you can't do this at all, and Washington state is the most draconian. If you live in a restricted state, there is nothing you can do about it. VPNs will not get it done. And 3, you will have to complete a full KYC for each casino. If you don't have or are unwilling to upload ID, this won't work. If you're good so far, stick with me because you are about to print. Counter gambling is all about doing the opposite of what the casinos want. There are something like 30 online casinos available, and it seems like there's a new one popping up every month. Stake is probably the most well known. Others include Pulse, McCluck, Modo, and Chumba Casino, not Chumba as I had been saying it before. They classify themselves as sweepstakes instead of proper casinos, and call themselves sweepstakes casinos, or sometimes social casinos. We can exploit their use of this loophole to make money for ourselves. There are basic, intermediate, and advanced ways to achieve this, and I'll discuss all 3. For easy mode, everyone should be doing this. To qualify as a sweepstakes in the US, the contest must be no purchase necessary to enter. In other words, these casinos have to let you play their games where you can win sweepstakes coins, which are effectively casino chips, without having deposited any money first. The easiest way for them to comply with this FTC law is just to give users $1 per day for logging in, and 25 of the 30 casinos use this method. Imagine a land-based casino that gives you $1 in chips when you walk through the door. That's exactly what's happening here, just digitally. The move is to log into each casino daily, take their daily dollar, and log off. I say $1 a day for brevity, but the amount really does vary by casino. A solid estimate is about $15 a day to log into each casino, which takes about 10 seconds each. If you're married, double that up to $30 a day for you and your spouse. The easiest casinos for this method are Stake, Chumba, and Lucky Land, so start there. That's it. Log in daily, take the free money, and stockpile it. Once you have the minimum to make a withdrawal, which is usually $10 for a gift card or $50 to $100 for cash, you play through those sweeps coins to make them eligible for redemption. Ideally, you'll play only the games with the highest return to player statistics. My guide breaks this down in detail, but in general, expect to play a lot of blackjack and plinko, the bare minimum required to redeem, and you should come out with over 95% of what you started with. Over the past month, this whole pot added up to about $450 for myself and $450 for my wife in SC. That's $900 in free chips per month, and you typically lose a little bit on the wash, so call it $425 per person redeemable to your bank account. This month I got very lucky, and while washing just those daily dollars on a slot machine at the casino Crown Coins, I hit a big $177 win, along with smaller $42 and $31 wins. This $250 streak is not something you chase. You do not deposit more money to try and hit this. It is mathematically extremely unlikely that any individual will have a win like that. But after doing this for a year, it's possible to see these unlikely wins happen. And this month I got lucky. But I could not be more serious about this. You're there to take the daily dollar and to play the minimum required. Do not push beyond that. Everything I said so far is just the basic strategy. It sounds like a lot, but I promise you, if you start with just one casino, it will all come together quickly. The intermediate method is where I made most of my money. Almost all of the casinos will offer occasional discounted sweeps coins. Imagine walking into an MGM casino and paying $20 to receive $30 in chips. That's what's happening with this method. A great example is the casino Lucky Land. Every few days they have what's called Quacky Hour, where they give you discounts like pay $15 for 30 sweeps coins. If you partake of this and play 50-cent hands of blackjack, you only need to win 15 out of 60 blackjack hands to break even. If you're using the blackjack basic strategy table, you are exceedingly likely to come out on top. In fact, you are about 49% likely to finish with more than the amount you started with. It is possible to lose money this way, but the odds of taking a loss are so low that you'd probably be the first person ever to lose, assuming you follow the basic strategy, which I include in the casino guide. This intermediate level is where I pulled in something like $2,500. I didn't distinguish between the method of my returns and my accounting. The majority of this money came from buying promotions on Lucky Land, Pulse, and High Five casinos. I'll highlight High Five a little bit more since I think a lot of people sleep on this one. High Five gives you 50 cents a day and 15 diamonds for logging in. The 15 diamonds can be exchanged for free spins on slots. By cashing in my diamonds for free spins on the game Gold Party, in the past, this was months ago, I won a huge $357 prize. My luck was unbelievable. That's not typical, and it was months ago. I haven't seen gains like that since. But just by cashing in these diamonds that you get for free, you get to participate in these bonus games that can award big wins without having to wager your own deposit. Again, I reiterate, stick to the plan. Don't chase big wins. Just take advantage of the offers you get, exhibit self-control, and you'll also print. And finally, there is the advanced approach, which I do not partake of myself. However, there are guys on Discord making very large deposits and withdrawals, sometimes tens of thousands at a time, to churn VIP points at the casinos. McLuck is a very popular one for this. Guys are taking advantage of frequent but very small SC bonuses, like $100 for 105 SC, and at scale, coming up with sizable returns. But the real goal for them is to reach high VIP levels. Some casinos will require you to play through $500,000 cumulatively to reach a high VIP level, where you start getting weekly or even daily larger rewards, like $200 for 300 sweeps coins. And sometimes they just get these emails that say, thanks for being a VIP member, here's $150. Once you're there, you stand to make a lot. But while grinding these VIP levels, you're spending a lot of time and churning a lot of money. I may partake of this in the future, but a 5% edge is really not that much, and you do run risk of losses, which I'm trying to avoid. The ones that do counter gamble like this are leading the charge with sometimes $10,000 a month in gains once they're at a high VIP. But if you want to get in on this level, you're better off talking to them than you are to me. Ultimately, this is the strongest freeloader method, and I probably don't need to do anything else to win the freeloader challenge. The reason I save it for last is because there are so many other methods of making money online, and I don't want the people in Washington et al. To believe that being boxed out of online casinos is a death knell for their freeloader ambitions. Do this if you can, but it's not the be-all end-all of freeloading. As you can tell, I consider this the highest quality method possible, so I'm putting it at the very crest of top tier. I strongly recommend at least doing the basic level if you can. Altogether, I started this episode with $13,713, and during the episode, I added another $4,200. However, I made the mistake in the past of neglecting taxes on this freeloader money until the end of the year, and that took a nasty bite. Now, deducting as I go, I'll lose about $940 to taxes, leaving me with a gain of $3,260. Added to my slush fund, this brings me to $16,973. We're getting close to that time. I need to start crack house shopping, or at least identify a neighborhood. Some people on Discord think I'm doing this wrong. Instead of looking for a crack house in an urban environment, they're saying that I should look rural instead. I should buy a meth house instead of a crack house. I think there is some merit to this. Taxes are lower in rural areas, and it's probably less liable to get robbed. I have to look into this option further, but right now, northern DC, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh are still my most likely targets to start this slumlord empire. I think the Baltimore bridge collapsing may also present an opportunity to buy the dip. However, I am willing to reconsider and look at meth houses instead if that theory carries more water. You guys thought I was playing, but I'm telling you, this is gonna happen. We're doing crack houses. If I keep up this strong $4,000 a month pace, it'll happen toward the end of this year. Don't forget to join Discord, and we'll all make money together. I'll see you guys there.